Welcome to the main event Fightcast. I'm your host, Vega, alongside my co-host, Coach Mike. And we've got some fun recapping to do over this pretty good fight card that I missed watching live.
Pretty good?
Yeah, pretty good. I would say pretty good.
I guess because you didn't get
Pretty
to
good.
watch it live, so I guess it didn't really, you don't get to feel as much.
Recapping the fights, like when I get the chance to watch them back, I'm like, it's fight for fight, like fight for fight, judging the fight card top to bottom. It's not like antics or anything that happens during the fights or like throughout the night. Yeah. So like just fight for fight. I think there was some spectacular fights on there. And then there were some subpar fights,
Nothing.
I would say
nothing
right,
crazy
like,
boring.
There was,
that's for sure.
I would say there's a couple that I would say were not crazy boring, but they weren't exciting, right?
Well, I don't know, when you were watching the Reese fight, you weren't as excited as I was when I was watching.
Yeah, like that's one good example. Like Zachary Reese,
that joke was crazy,
and Jose Daniel Medina, right? Like whoa, this is a slaughter. Like this guy is in my opinion not ready to be in the UFC yet.
Look, to a certain extent, you absolutely asked the question. The matchmakers set this guy up for murder,
right? Like at a certain point, it's like, why did we bring this guy into the UFC? Even joke of like, this guy is literally positioned to be the Tony Ferguson retirement fight. Like they're gonna give Daniel Medina one more fight. He's gonna lose that, and then they're gonna put him against Ferguson, and then they built a nice little story for Ferguson to go on his way out, or he wins his next.
He'd probably beat Ferguson, to be honest.
But I just don't realistically see somebody in the middleweight division.
Yeah,
I don't see somebody that he can beat.
That's the real problem.
Moving up to light heavyweight, I don't see somebody that he can beat. No. Moving down,
realistically, is more.
Moving down to welterweight, I don't. So it's like
Neil Magny could be a good matchup.
You think he could beat Neil Magny?
I don't think so, but
that's what I mean.
Yeah, he would. Like, that'd be fighting so up too. Neil Magny is actually a ranked opponent that like
he'd be fighting up.
Neil Magny might be out of the rankings though.
Even if he's out of the ranking, he's only out of the ranking because not because Neil Magny's not good. So
yeah, but
I don't know. Maybe I'm being too hard on him. But I feel
I'm sure they could find a fight for him that's less gimmicky than Tony Ferguson or whatever.
What I saw,
but he did get signed fresh off of losing.
Right, losing the same way because I watched losing the same way, and
it's impressive the way he was able to take a beating, keep going forward.
But how impressed can we be by someone taking a beating?
No, I mean, it's toughness. It's toughness, but it seemed like Zachary Reese was about to tire out. Moment. Even when you look at it from that perspective, it's not that the moment never came. It's that Jose's not prepared to take advantage of that. There was a couple moments midway through the second round. There's a couple moments midway through the third round where the right combination of strikes, the right movement, you can do. Instead, you're probably right. Dana's probably cutting this guy.
The guy's busy, making antics and making faces, and it's like.
But that's what I mean.
That's
like
the type
more
of thing,
almost like.
Right, where you're like
you're trying to block these punches with your head to hurt his hand.
You're not actually fighting, And so for me, that's what it comes down to on that. So
but watching that
fight,
it definitely was.
I'm bored by that fight in the sense of like I am watching this because I like watching fights, And for me, that was a bar guy that like again, I don't want to get into a street fight with this guy, right? Like anybody getting into, I have my money on Jose Daniel Medina 9 times out of 10 against anybody you pick in a street fight, because to win a street fight you have to finish the guy, and this guy does not want to go down. Right, like that. That math alone, I'm just like, yeah, I'm betting on him for sure. Right,
Putin hits him one time.
Dude might get up and do the stupid smile at him too, bro. Like, there was some shots where I was just like, how is this man still alive? Like, why are you still getting up?
Pereira put his lights on.
That was some crazy stuff. You know who had an unquestionable knockout? And this is one moment where I could say, okay, if you believe this was a great card, I think even earlier you were like, it's in card of the year as far as fight nights go.
I could see that. I could see that as a valid argument, especially when the card opens with a fight like Wang Kong versus Victoria Leonardo.
What a showman.
This is also a fight that says less about Victoria Leonardo and more about Wang Kong. Like, yes, she knocked
Victoria could go on to get on a winning streak after this.
Right.
But it's just she got starched before she even got started.
She didn't even know what was really going on in the fight yet. And Wang Kong delivered a 1-2 combo that I haven't seen anything like that in the women's division in a long time. And if this is what this girl is bringing to the division, that is insanity. Yeah, man. To the point that Dana said he didn't watch the fight live. He didn't watch the fights live. And after watching her fight, he was like, I don't know how you didn't get a bonus. Here's $50K. And it's like, word. She came out with the Joker face paint.
What she showed up. You do something like that, they're looking for it. They're looking
for what you mean.
She made it quick. If people only missed if they blink, man, because man, she got it.
She made a statement. She made a statement, which made it really hard for the next fight to follow that up. Mm-hmm. Goes back to like how great of a card is this with the next fight.
This wasn't a bad fight.
It wasn't a bad fight, but it wasn't a good enough fight to keep the pacing and the standard.
And it was also going. It was also really close. You know? It could have went either way.
But I am of the belief it definitely went Cavalcante's way.
Well, that's why I had it going that way, but I
arguing.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been shocked if they would.
What did you think of her performance overall?
It was good. She could have done more. She could have taken more chances.
I felt like she was a little nervous in this fight, like compared to some of the other fights.
That's another way.
This was her debut, so you know that would make a little bit of sense. But nonetheless,
it's not her debut. This is her second go around.
Her second time in the UFC.
Yeah.
But her debut fight for her second time.
I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you'd get a second debut.
Yeah, if you got cut, you come back.
Yeah. Fight.
Yeah. You know. So her return fight, we'll say. Yeah. But that's one fight that I would, even as a massive fan of Cavalcanti, it's like, that wasn't a great fight. You know.
Well, then you had a fight like that, like bro.
Then you get this followed up by Vyacheslav Borshev and.
What's his nickname? I like his nickname. Damn, something Claus.
Vicious Claus or
Vicious Claus?
Yeah, Vicious Claus.
Something like that. He's a fun dude, not really high level.
Yeah. So then back to kind of what I felt with the Zachary Reese fight, where it's like, yes, if I'm just watching a fight, this was a fun fight to watch, right? But as far as watching a fight as a sport and the technicality of it, like I feel like both of these guys were missing something. I can't really be specific about it because I wasn't really fully engaged for reason. But I feel like they were both missing something. And this is also a fight that I feel like could have went either way. And maybe I'm wrong for saying that.
No, I think it went how it should have, but it was a split decision.
Yeah, it was a split decision. So
you're not wrong in saying that.
Not something that I entirely loved. Dennis Bazukja versus Francis Marshall.
Good fight.
Francis Marshall showed out.
Yeah.
Francis Marshall showed out in every way. Like, he dominated that fight start to finish.
He was going for a finish.
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. So that's going to be really...
He took those chances, left himself out there.
I hate when this happens to me because I feel like it's not fair to the fighter. But Francis Marshall fought so well that it just further encouraged me to be excited to it again. Because Isaac Dugarian smoked Francis Marshall. So, like, I can't wait to see him fighting again.
Certain guys bounce back after a loss.
Yeah, some people bounce back heavy, but even when they bounce back heavy, it still goes to say, how good
there was still holes. There was still holes in Francis. He wasn't as composed as you probably want.
Yeah, it wasn't a perfect fight. By no means was it a perfect fight.
He went for it. He was going for the finish, but
credit to Dennis, because there was a couple moments where Dennis was back in the fight as well. Mm-hmm. But still not something
and that's what I mean by that. He left it open for that every time.
Yeah, still not something that I was overly excited to watch.
It was a good fight though. I enjoyed it. especially live.
Now that we've seen Francis Marshall, he's not in the rankings at all yet. Do we want to see him against a ranked opponent in featherweight, or do we want to see him unranked one more time?
You know what I just thought about?
What's that?
So probably the next fight, or probably one of the fights we're about to talk about. Santos.
Oh, that'll be an interesting introduction for the recently crowned winner of the featherweight TUF season 32 TUF.
I am
coming from Alexa Grasso's team, Myron Santos with the. All right, so real quick, I got to talk about it because I talked about it.
Legend.
Myron, the abuser legend.
No, he's a legend.
Santos. I don't know if anybody else has addressed this, or we had a lot of issues finding anybody else really talking about the fights this weekend. I'm not sure why, but
nobody talked about the buildup of this TUF.
It was really strange.
This TUF season.
This card didn't get a lot of coverage.
I thought this TUF season. I think that's really why I loved it, because of the TUF.
Because of TUF.
TUF has been really good.
The build-up for TUF, this was a fantastic finale episode.
But promoting it, they did terrible.
Yeah, promoting it awful. But as a season finale episode, as far as if we compare it to some of the other TUF finales we've gotten, this was a fantastic card.
Amazing.
Like, this was amazing compared to some of the other TUF cards we got. Especially when you think about the knockout that Myron Santos got. Like, I really, like, bro,
he was joking online about wanting to beat Alex Pereira.
He
bowed
him down.
Then like a couple hours after the fight, he went back. He was like, he retweeted his tweet talking about, I was just joking, but I really got like a finish. That left hand, that left hook.
Boom. Drops him.
I mean, the right set it up, but the left fit and his
dropped him to his knees. Dropped Con
and the part you like
to his knees. No, the part I have questions about. Bro, Myron. We're gonna get Myron on the show.
He's young. He was excited.
Why did you hold his head, bro? Myron Santos puts his right hand behind Con Ofley's head after he's already on his knee, strikes him 2 more times, and then, like you said, probably because he's young, excited, he realizes what he was doing is wrong, pulls his hand back, and that's when we see Con kind of fall over.
As many fights as he has, he's such a sniper. Like, he might have never had that kind of knockout.
That kind of knockout
was like he usually puts things together and gets them out of there. But he
because it was a two-piece.
But that one shot was over, and he thought he probably expected more. But
he thought he was going to get up or something, bro.
That was vicious.
The way he held his head.
Listen, I knew you was going to win when you came out to All My Life. I was like, nah. Is that Lil Durk?
Shout out Myron Santos. Congratulations. Victory.
You made me a fan of the show, but this finale, you went.
You go into the history books of TUF champions.
Yeah, man. At 24 years old, too.
And I can't wait to see what else you do. Just please, no more holding the head after the knockout. That's a little crazy, bro. That's a little... They're going to use that as some political documentary about why the UFC is too aggressive or some shit.
He has a family, man.
Like, that was aggressive, bro. Watch that back and you know, I don't know, that was a lot. And I'm usually for the violence, but that one just felt like, whew.
I mean, it's the ref's fault. He has to stop that.
Right, but yeah, exactly. Not you did anything wrong or mad at you. Like, fantastic fight, you won the battle.
Their job is to
finish. You did your job.
Until they're stopped.
But, you know, actually thinking about a fight where there was another beautiful knockout. No, it wasn't actually this fight. It was later. It was more of a TKO, right? Neil Magny versus Michael Morales. Not the fight that I was referring to, but the fight I ended up at. Because you mentioned Michael Morales, I want to say maybe like 4 or 5 episodes back when we were having a conversation about like, who is the prospect? That whole...
I tried to get somebody from the year.
Yeah.
But I would say if we're going still young and it had a couple...
But then you raised the question again today before we started the show as far as like, and I thought about it, like there isn't a lot of conversation around Michael Morales as a prospect. As far as like when he's about but just generally, when people talk about their list online of upcoming fighters.
I think people like started to forget about him after the Griffin fight. But I didn't expect him to finish Griffin. I knew that was a durable guy that if he gets him stuck.
But even then, that's what it was like. Most of the conversation around him comes up when he has a fight coming up.
Yeah.
When you're just looking at anybody's conversation points or talking points throughout the year at random, Michael Morales isn't somebody that comes up a lot, which I think it should change because as we saw and as he earned performance of the night, it was a stunning performance against Neil Magny, against veteran Neil Magny, right? Because you got to remember, no matter how many lack of a better way to phrase it right now, no matter how many losses we've seen Neil Magny take, he's been around for a while. He's also had just as many.
Think about Neil Magny is his deficiency is withstanding with these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And
his legs. His legs be getting chopped up.
True, yes. He does not know how to defend a leg kick. But he has a way about him to get you down in the ground, and that's his world. With his long frame, I'm pretty sure he's up there with submission finishes in UFC for one of the most, at least in the division. So
probably. He's probably somewhere on that.
That's what raised the real question with this fight. Sure, if Michael Morales kept his standing, we knew how that would go.
Right.
But sure enough, Neil Magny got him down.
And
Morales was able to weather the storm, turn it around on him, and beat him down with ground and pound.
Beat him with the ground and pound. Ref had to stop it.
So we will see him more in the conversation because he answered that question.
At least we hope so.
Well, he answered that a big question. So, but could it be something more with his personality?
It could be because he's a very relaxed on the microphone, which is going to be one of our talking points later on.
He's Ecuadorian, so it's like Cheeto. They're not really.
Yeah, very laid back, very chill. You know, you're not really selling himself.
You might have to see him in a beef with somebody.
In the welterweight division, there's so much. The welterweight division is the messiest division, I would say. Like that's the division that probably has the most
chirping,
cat drama and chirping, right? Like everybody's got some sort of personal shit with somebody.
Kobe's there,
right? And it's probably Kobe's fault. He brought that energy to the division. A couple people thought they had to match.
But it seemed like Bilal might have had to, because had he not been talking as much, would he have?
He might not have gotten a shot.
No.
Because he was talking a lot, but before he was just saying, "Yo, when can I get my shot? When can I get my shot?" Mm-hmm. Then he stopped saying that and started attacking people.
I think he's always been very chatty, like on Twitter and stuff. But that he does have a podcast or whatever.
Yeah. So maybe that's what Michael Morales needs because he's in that division. He's in the division where you got to be chirping to get your shots.
I think the UFC could do a better job of promoting him. The UFC even
brought a new chirper into the division with MVP, bro.
Ecuadorian fan base can be
heavy, especially if they have somebody, move.
But shout out to Neil Magny, man. He's probably about to be out of rankings, but he's been around for a while. Probably on the way out.
Neil Magny?
On the way out, maybe a fight or two.
I hope he's not on the way out.
He's had a decent career, man. Shout out to him. He's a Haitian Dominican from New York.
See, I didn't know he was Dominican. Mm-hmm. The Haitian part, they always shout out,
yeah.
But didn't know he was Dominican. That's crazy.
Yeah, I guess he's not.
This was a fantastic comeback, but I don't know if it was a fantastic fight.
Well, it was a performance of the night, in
the comeback.
Yes,
the comeback is a performance of the night because the position, like, oh man, I even gotta like being completely open about it. Like, if you had a camera in the room while all you would hear me saying is, "Wow, Gerald looks tired. He looks defeated. He looks exhausted," and then he snatches up a submission win like nobody's business that just blows the lid off of the night. Right? So a much-deserved performance of the night. However, like, yo, these guys look good for what I was expecting going into the fight. And I think if I remember this one correctly, I wasn't excited for this one at all.
I was.
Which it ended up being more exciting than I expected it to be. But in that same vein, it still wasn't something that I thought was like, oh, shoot, this fight is going crazy.
I mean, I'll be honest.
And I do think this card had
I wasn't excited for GM3. He just stole the show. I was excited for Edmund Shabowski because he's been around for a while.
Mearshart does what he does, bro.
He's been around for a while, and
show.
He seems to either gas out in fights, and in this situation, I think he just got lured in, bro.
Yeah,
I think he just got.
It was rough. I think
it's a perfect MMA fight that you should show somebody.
It was a good MMA fight.
You see somebody's deficiency somewhere, get dropped a couple times, but to still have a path to victory.
Have a path to victory. Yep.
Like that. It was just perfect.
It was for sure. Gerald Mearshart, I think he's reminding me a little bit of Paul Craig now. Where it's like you see him losing, and then suddenly he snatches up a win.
I think he's a little higher up than Paul Craig, at least as of late. Paul Craig has been awful as of late.
Well,
GM3 has at least better takedowns.
As a fighter, consistently we're seeing him
probably even better chin. Well, absolutely a better chin.
But as a fighter, we're seeing him in the same
stylistically,
position.
yes. But I would consider him the 2.0.
That's hilarious.
That's because I think he's better. I love Paul Craig for moments he's had, man. You can't take that away from him.
I never liked Paul Craig.
Well, you can't take that away from him. He's the only person to get that victory over Jamal Hill at that time, and also Ankalaev. That meant something at one point.
Did they?
It still does to Ankalaev, though.
Did they?
He just has that draw with Jan that I believe he won.
I think losing to Paul Craig has more of an effect on Ankalaev's history than it does on Hill, because Hill went on to become champion regardless. Has done some pretty good stuff since. Ankalaev, like you said, he ended up in that questionable draw. Hasn't really fought too much since. Like there hasn't been the path hasn't been great for him. So I could see that.
He's also in a dark place for the UFC. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he does not win, fights out his contract, and they don't want him no more.
Rakic, I could see him in a real bad place.
I could see him beating Rakic, losing to Pereira, and then they decide if that's the last of the deal, or if he has one more fight.
Yeah. I don't like to get into their contracts.
I only say that because of how things got sour after that fight. He was screaming, "He give me my." He won it. Which I agree, but judge's decision is the judge's decision, dude. You can't.
Who did he fight after that?
I don't know. I don't think he did.
I don't think he's fought since.
Yes, he fought Johnny Walker. It was two times.
He had to fight. Yeah, same thing. He had to fight Johnny Walker 2 times.
He had to book it twice because of the eye poke.
Bro, the last person you beat was Johnny Walker. Like, yeah, you're ranked up there, but do you really deserve a title shot? No.
And if I remember correctly, it wasn't even that impressive of a victory.
No, I think he KO'd Johnny Walker when he won him. When he beat him.
Probably, but
yeah.
It's Johnny Walker after
right? Sad loss that we took, and sad loss. Happy win for happy win for Ryan Loder. Sad loss for Robert Valentin.
Robert was so much fun.
Wow,
tough this season.
These guys were This was a great fight. I think this was a fantastic fight.
This was a perfect example of both. It's just bragging rights.
Right.
It's just a trophy.
Yep. Who's getting the trophy?
Yeah.
And in this case, the champion was Ryan Loder. And he with the crucifix to KO.
He made sure it wasn't controversial at all.
Right. He made it very, very clear who won the fight. But it was interesting to see Robert Valentin end up in that position. It was really
interesting
crazy to see Ryan Loder survive that.
Just both of them scrambling. Both of them scrambling is like, what in the world
is happening? Yo, they're
just so high level, bro. Like usually you see these matches, they're like, oh, they're so close, but they're low level. No.
Close, but they're moving slow. Like everybody's being tactical, piece by piece. Like, bro,
they were sneaking up on each other, back to back to back to back.
Right, just going at. It felt like when we were watching the CJI. The jiu-jitsu competition.
Oh, yeah,
right? Where these guys are just scrambling and scrambling because they can't actually throw punches. Like, that's what this felt. Ryan Loder just came out the victor in this case. But I would love to see, this is the only fight from this card that I would love to see again.
Oh, absolutely.
This is the only one.
Absolutely, but I don't want it right away.
No, not right away. I wouldn't be mad at it right away, but not right away.
Give him 2-3 fights in between.
So that was a cool one. Congratulations to TUF
26 and 28, I believe.
Yeah.
So, like, they're not old, but they're older guys in the sense that you're not too nervous of where you're going to put them in
right.
In
What's
the next
next?
booking. Yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations to the TUF 32 middleweight champion, Ryan Loader, right?
The story is amazing. If you didn't watch TUF, tune into that season.
Right, his story is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Robert's just a super interesting guy, very, like,
he's
nature
somebody,
guy. But
I've seen it somewhere online, and they were
very
like,
interesting characters, bro.
Someone online was like, "Why is Robert Valentin Jerry?" And I was like, "Chill."
He might be everything Jerry thinks he is, bro.
I was like, "Chill." Not Jerry Jr.
Bro. He might be everything Jerry thinks he is to a certain extent, bro. Like he's
on some crazy shit because he actually has the Viking blood and believes he's a Viking,
bro,
versus
like
Jerry believes he's samurai and it's from like.
I mean, they're both absolutely.
But Valentin might be less nuts because it might actually be in his bloodline. Up next, Angela Hill and Tabitha Ricci. Like I said, Tabitha Ricci was going to win this fight. However, Angela Hill put on exactly what she does every time she steps in the guy. On a fight, bro.
I don't remember if I
picked.
Did I pick between these two? It's so bad that, like, I didn't want any of them to lose.
It was a fight.
I love both of them as fighters, but
the
right fighter won. Angela Hill wasn't happy with the decision. She thought she won. I thought Ricci won. Shark put on a nice showing.
But this is the fight where you thought Ricci outstruck Angela Hill significantly.
And no, bro.
Completely.
I felt like she controlled the fight completely, and that was crazy.
And the big differentiator were those throws and takedowns that Tabitha Ricci where she's in the clinch. They really came in handy. They scored all those extra points.
Even seeing that they landed the same amount. She landed with the stronger shots.
With the more impactful moments.
She had the more impactful moments, not to mention control with wrestling.
Is overkill over the hill?
No.
God damn it. I'm glad you said I don't even know why that was on the table.
When did she put on a boring fight?
Man, Angela Hill,
when did she put it on?
Yeah, you know what my favorite part of the whole fight was? And this is crazy. But like my favorite part of this matchup was the lead up, bro. During the weigh-ins, when Tabitha Ricci shows up in the UFC, like Angela Hill shows up in the shorts and she's like,
she comes out of the sweats.
Yeah, in the sweats, and she's like, fuck it. Drop some giants. Yo, I was like, chill. Her personality is the best.
I can't remember who she had. I think she has a podcast with somebody, or somebody else podcasts and she's always with them. But they joke about like they don't have an old. They're selling their bodies all day when they're fighting. They're not joking around.
Yo, Angela Hill
she's a personality. She's one of the best personalities you're going to find in the UFC.
For sure.
Listen,
and this was another fantastic fight. Like
I wouldn't say fantastic, but it was good. It never got boring.
The only thing, the issue with women's fights, I think, is that we don't see them with a lot of power often.
Yeah, you never felt like a
So when you think about some of these, right? When you think about some of those flash moments, right? Like it doesn't feel as big as the moment really was because they lack the power behind it, right? If we saw some power behind it that looked threatening or dangerous, it would reshape a lot of those moments, and then it wouldn't look like, oh man, Tabitha Ricci outstruck Angela Hill, and then you find out they're completely even in strikes, right? Because you'd see those power differentiators to show you like, oh no, Angela Hill landed some shots that really.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the big issue, even when you think about like finishes. Right, like a lot of women's fights end up being kind of boring because you get to the inevitable 3rd, 5th round, and you're like, "Whoa, they're both tired, and now this is getting boring because
but that's
nothing's really happening."
That's also when fighters become most dangerous
dangerous. But again, women's division, they don't really have the power to be dangerous, and
the right strike at the right time, it's going to work. But I think that's a perfect segue to what the main event was.
Because this is pretty much the same exact fight, bro.
Well, no, it's the same. Kyle was dominating the fight, but you never felt like Jared was completely out of it, like because he possesses that power.
You never felt like Jared Cannonier was completely out of the fight.
No.
However, you did feel like Jared Cannonier was in danger of being out
the entire fight. The entire fight.
entire fight, but like moments where it's like, for most of the fight, you're like, yo, Kyle's winning this fight for sure, but anything can happen and Jared can get it done. But then Kyle lands a shot that stumbles him to the point where he just kind of falls over in slow motion, and you're like, oh, maybe this is over. No, I'm talking about the first time it happened.
Okay, the first time.
Because it happened twice. Happened where
well, before that he stunned him with a kick, I think it was, to the head, and
there was three of them. It was the kick, he stunned him, and when he stunned him, he stood there, but he froze. His body was shot. Bro. Then there was the first punch combo that he got hit and he was moving over, and then he kind of stumbled over and then got up. The last one where he got hit and he just really collapsed into the floor, and the ref should have stopped the fight.
Let me admit, I was wrong. I thought this was a bad fight for Kyle. I thought Jared Power would keep him in the fight and he'd possibly land a knockout shot, man. But, bro, the natural.
Listen, I told you,
screaming at the camera after saying, "I'm not just a jiu-jitsu
that was crazy. I'm not just a grappler. I'm not just a strike. I'm natural everywhere."
And before the fight, he said, "I'm gonna stay in his face. Most guys back down. I'm gonna stay in." Bro, he stood in his face.
Even after getting a massive cut.
Bro, that one punch did that. Like, what, bro?
It's amazing.
I tip my hat to Jared Cunningham, man. Cunningham, he is
right. So that's what I was gonna say.
Not human.
Last week when I said Kyle Burrell was gonna knock Jared Cannonier, in any disrespectful way to Jared Cannonier, I was just saying, like, I knew Kyle Burrell had the technique and power to knock Cannonier out, and realistically, that's what he should have gotten, was a TKO, because that should have been stopped.
Yes, I believe that was.
I think it was torturous to watch that go on, and even if Jared Cannonier towards the end and was able to get, like, that was a lot of damage for Jared to not have to take. Bro. And realistically, if Izzy's fight was stopped against Pereira the way it was stopped, like, that was a even clearer reason to just end that there. So that KO really technically happened.
As somebody who thought that his last stoppage was too early, that he didn't need a chance to stop.
He didn't need a chance.
He needed to be saved.
Yeah, this time he needed to be saved. But it was a fight and a half that went the whole 5 rounds. The fight nerds are here, bro.
Oh, man.
The fight nerds are here, bro.
I need a pair of glasses.
Yo, send us a pair of glasses, guys.
I can't fight, but maybe with the glasses, bro. I'll be
fight nerds, right? I need to be able to protect myself. I need them glasses.
Nah.
Man, what was I thinking about? So actually talking about his call out as far as Dricus du Plessis. Not very realistic, but in the follow-up, he didn't really call anybody out. He just kind of said he's with whatever. Mm-hmm. And, DC and Chael were talking about what's a good call out, what's a bad call out. It got me thinking, like, I didn't realize call outs mattered so much. Right? Like, I've always realized, like, when we who was it, Bozo? Joaquin Buckley Bozo of the night, right, for his bad call out. Right? Like, I understood it mattered to that level of, like, yo, you can't have a bad call out, right? But I always looked at it as, like,
especially after
good call out doesn't really get acknowledged.
I also think it's more about the promo after a great performance.
Okay.
And perspective is everything. You're talking about DC and Chael, 2 guys that are wrestling fans.
Right.
So, like, they're into, and I don't know that Chael's a wrestling fan, how DC and me, or I am, but the part that he loves is and the way they
selling
talk. The selling.
Right. But how much does that matter to the general audience?
I don't know. To me, it does. To me, it does. But the DDP one wasn't awful in a sense, like, what is he thinking? It's just him basically saying where he wants to be. He wants to get to that title. He understands. I get it, that fight.
I hope so.
He understands that it would take a falling out. It would take somebody.
I hope he understands that.
It would take somebody getting injured and stuff like that.
Right. There's a couple things that have to happen for that to happen.
Yes.
But from the conversation, a really interesting topic.
But the performance isn't bad enough for him that nobody's gonna say, "Oh, he don't deserve a title shot." It's just
which is why
it's just the people ahead of him.
The interesting topic ended up coming up of, is it a good idea for him to fight Izzy next? Right? Would that be an interesting matchup? Right? For Kyle, I believe yes. As far as opportunity, 100%. Likelihood of winning, 100%. 100% that I think he's going to win, but like, is the value of the chance at winning for Izzy maybe a little risky, but maybe exactly what he needs to get back on the horse. You know what I'm saying?
To challenge himself, 100%. If he's thinking tactical, this is a trap.
Yeah.
Izzy.
You see what he just did to Jared, and you couldn't do that to Jared.
This isn't what I want. If I'm Izzy,
you could not do that to Jared.
Unless it excites him. If it excites him, that's big. That's big. As somebody that's like, not hitting the back door, but can hit the back door if he wants to. He has nothing more to prove in the sport.
Right. It could be an interesting fight.
You want to be excited. You want somebody. You want a fight that excites you in whatever way it is. But I just don't think that the natural versus the style bender is the matchup that Izzy wants.
That Izzy wants.
But I think Kyle gets that offer. He'll sign it to fight tomorrow.
He'd be crazy.
Starting with the cut.
I'll show up with the cut. Let's do it.
Yeah. It's just that good of a matchup.
His toughness was on full display, and what was also on full display once again is I just called out the welterweight for being the messy division. The middleweight division is really this. This division again.
The top is so close to each other.
That's exactly what I'm addressing. It's Kyle Barallo is now the top, but he was number 12. And he just fought number 5. Listen to the numbers that we're really looking at.
I believe there's some guys that just lost there that will be
from the middleweight.
Yeah, I could be confused.
Let's take it. Let's see. Taking a glance at the middleweight division, right? With Kyle Barallo will be updated. We recorded this on Monday, so this hasn't been updated yet.
Shemaya will be
So look.
Hamza is gonna end up in the top 5.
No, if he loses, he doesn't go up there.
Yeah, he does.
No, he doesn't.
He ends up in the top 10.
If he loses, he stays right where he's at.
I don't think so.
He's ranked 11. He stays right where he's at.
He's fighting number 2.
Roman, and in fact, this again, we're looking at this before the rankings have been adjusted because of the weekend. So it's very possible Hamzat dropped a notch. Jared isn't going to drop significantly. Everything is going to go down a point or two when Kyle comes up. So. Do they move Roman under Hamzat for no reason when Roman's had a more recent fight? Do they move Jack?
He's booked
Do they
right
move
now.
Paulo?
And he's booked right now, Roman.
Right.
Forgot how he just booked him.
Everybody's going to move. Kyle moves up. Hamzat's ranked 12. So now from rank 12 up, we have Hamzat, Roman, Jack, Paulo, Brendan, Marvin Vettori, Jared, Nazir. Middleweight is stacked, bro. And that's just from 12 up. That's not even including Pereira at 13, Hernandez at 14, and Chris
Curtis ain't gonna hang around. I think he took his.
Chris Curtis is coming out.
I think he just took a fight at welterweight.
So, no, that was the fight that got canceled against Kevin Holland.
He's the one that pulled out.
He had to pull out over injury. Middleweight is stacked division, bro. Like that shit goes crazy. And it's insane to think about. Like, it really is insane to think about.
You know what? Kyle doesn't get top 5.
Huh?
He's going to end up being like 6 or 7.
That's what I mean. Like, even with this win, I would love to see him. I wouldn't be mad if they put him at 7, right? Like, a little beneath Brandon Allen, I could see that. You know, like, beneath Marvin Vettori, I could see that. You know, but again, we'll see what the rank makers do with it. But yeah, the continues to be the most stacked division.
Who you think in that division can stop him? Like 100%. Like
stop who?
Is a bad matchup for him, other than the champion.
For Kyle, I think the worst matchup for him, if Hamzat really is like that, is Hamzat. For everybody, if he really is who he's been, he's a bad matchup for pretty much the whole lineup. Is he unbeatable? I don't think so. Outside of that, I think height advantage over Whitaker gives him a lot of good positioning there. I think what we saw him do to Jared, he'd do to Vettori. What we saw Brendan Allen do to Vettori in the casino makes that fight interesting between Kyle and Brendan.
There's a lot of weird talks around that. Like apparently Marvin might have landed one punch and that's what made him go into the, like he kind of went roulette thing.
So what it looked like to me was, I saw a little bit of a longer clip. It looked like Marvin snuck somebody with Brendan Allen. And then that's when that whole gathering starts. And then they make the space, they make the circle, they square up. As Marvin's going to put his hands up to square, we're going to square up and make it fair. Allen went in there, threw 3 haymakers like he was a fucking Dragon Ball Z character and just whop, whop. And the third one landed and sent them flying into the roulette thing. Marvin got up and wanted to keep fighting, and then Brendan and the cops showed up, and who knows what happens from there. So it does look like Brendan Allen got the best of them. They were both drunk, and Brendan Allen did go before the 3. You know, there was a 1, 2, 3 for the race. He went on the 2. So, you know, a little sketchy, but nonetheless.
Listen, Brendan Allen is the one I've seen. But I would like to see him beat Marvin Vettori, just because Marvin Vettori has just been same spot for how long?
For a long time.
He can't beat those guys in the top.
But can anybody beneath him beat him? That's the issue. So I think Marvin Vettori is a great option if they don't want to go right away. But I think the most realistic option to send Kyle to the belt right away is Imavov. Right? He's the guy who just beat Jared Cannonier in a sketchy decision, right? Not sketchy, that's insulting.
Well, by beating him, he got up to 4.
Right. In a close decision.
I think that should affect something too, though. Because like if you just beat him and somebody better than you.
Beat him better than you. Right? So now the question simply is which one of you is better, and we should see Imavov versus Bareilles next.
That's true. That's true.
And then that lets us kind of give some time to the rest of the chaos already going on in this overly stacked division, which now Jerry's thinking about joining. Easy would that make the division next, bro? If Jerry jumps in,
I need to see him make 185 first for me to believe that he killed.
I don't see it being that much of an issue because he never looked like he was the right size at 205.
He seemed big enough.
He seemed tall enough. He didn't seem big enough, like width-wise. He seemed like height-wise. Width-wise, he didn't feel like in the
when it comes to fight night and weigh-ins, I don't ever think that Alex Pereira looks huge.
No, I'm talking about in the ring.
Yeah.
Not the night of not the weigh-in night. I'm talking about in the ring. When we see these guys in the ring, I always felt like Yuri had a lanky look to himself.
It's about how you look when you're making that weight. Like,
yeah. Lanky look to him where I was like, he can't be, even if he gained weight, he couldn't have gained more than 10, 15 pounds.
Myron Santos, new kid from TUF. Does he look like he struggles to make weight?
Yeah, he does.
He does, but he doesn't
he
look
looks
like
he does.
I don't think he does. I don't think he's big.
He looks like it to me because of the muscle build. Like he has a little
packful,
and he has some muscle. So it looks like his struggle would be with losing that little bit of water at the end.
He will get his nutrition down or whatever.
He gets it in control.
There's no way he's 145er. There's no way.
Nah, you can keep doing it. I think you can do it.
145?
I think so.
He's a 135 right? He just.
Okay, no, he should stay at 135.
Yeah. I don't think he's big enough to go.
My fault. You're right. Yeah. You're right. My fault. I did say featherweight. So Yuri, I think, would be an interesting addition to the middleweight conversation, but at the time for it.
It's just too much.
There's too much going on, bro.
Even when Edwards wanted to defend and then possibly go up.
Right now, the middleweight division, I feel like, has to be off limits for a little while. Even Alex talking about coming back. Like, no, bro, stay where you are. Everybody stay right where they are or go the opposite direction of the middleweight.
I think that was he was going to win.
No, he said it after Izzy lost. He said it specifically after Izzy lost. Like, I want to come down and beat Dreykus now. Which I think would be interesting if Dreykus goes up. That could be fun. Dreykus at 205. But Alex will start you. I think Alex is too strong at 205. So that's a tough one.
Either way, other than DDP getting them down.
There wasn't a ton of UFC news this week, and I don't want to dive too much into the next card because it's not happening until September 7th, which is not this weekend. But we are seeing the return of Gilbert in a little while. I think his last fight was Bilal Muhammad, right? When he got his when he messed up his arm. And he's fighting against Sean Brady, which I think
also got finished by Bilal. I don't think Burns got finished. I think
Burns didn't get finished. Burns lost the decision.
But Brady,
that everybody criticized Bilal. finish a one-arm Burns, I'm still on that side, even if he is champion.
These are the two guys that lost to
Bilal Last. So it has some ramifications for the division because it could have some major impact. Given that that's the main event, I feel pretty strongly that we can say some things about it right now. And then the co-main event, which I'm more excited for, is another one of my UFC crushes, Natalia Silva versus Jessica Andrade. And Natalia Silva is really like the beauty biggest crush I have.
The beauty versus the beast.
I didn't say, bro.
Yo, Jessica Andrade is a monster. No disrespect to nothing. That's a scary woman.
No disrespect is the most important part of that sentence.
She's a BMF and for the women's. We've said
we talked about it before. Jessica Andrade. So there's a very almost no chance Natalia Silva gets a knockout unless it's like a super incredibly positioned strike.
She is the perfect response to you saying how these women don't typically have the power.
Yeah, Jessica Andrade is the opposite. She has the power.
We've seen her go down, up in class.
She has
the power in multiple weight classes. Yep. She's former champion.
Yep. And that's the best part of this, is that this is Natalia Silva's biggest test, her first former champion. And this is putting her directly in the lineup to be a contender or title fight. She is currently the
I don't love her. I don't love those odds, man.
I think she's going to, I think I said this earlier, she's going to outclass Jessica Andrade by being more technical and being faster. That's going to be the deciding factor. Now, with that said, I am terrified that my darling is going to get her face taken. Like,
she has to stay safe.
Horrified.
That's why your game plan.
I will be by your side even if she takes your face off.
Sound.
But I'm terrified that she's going to take your face off, my love. I don't want that to happen.
Wow.
But I do feel pretty confident that Natalia Silva got this.
I'm not confident, but I'll definitely be rooting for her.
I am. And then as of right now, there isn't really anything else that I'm super excited.
I'm always excited to see Ryan Spann try to punch somebody in the face.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, man. Ryan Spann got crazy power. It's not exactly the best
our boy
fighter.
Felipe Dos Santos is fighting. He is one of the most chaotic to watch, so I definitely recommend if he's still on the fight card next week, which I don't see him pulling out for any reason. He's going against Andre Lima. If you don't know who Andre Lima is, to sum it up very quickly, he's the guy who was losing a fight and then was bitten by his opponent who thought he was losing in the fight somehow.
Very strange.
But this should be a very interesting fight because Andre Lima has a little bit of power, but Felipe Dos Santos is from the Chuto Box Charles Oliveira school of fighters where when they get punched really hard and get knocked to the floor, they are suddenly more dangerous because you don't want to go to the floor with them.
Bleed? Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
These guys fight like Goku, bro. They get beat up and then they're like, well, that makes me want to tell them my full strength. Like, why weren't you doing that from the beginning?
I know nothing about Dragon Ball Z. At least I know that. Yeah. At least I know that it is Dragon Ball Z.
But I think. Oh, and Isaac Dogarian. Isaac Dogarian is fighting. That's crazy because they don't even have his picture up, which is insanity.
Why?
Because he definitely beat Francis Marshall. Like, I just brought him up a little bit ago because he smoked Francis Marshall. An incredibly good performance against Dennis Bazooka. And they don't have Isaac Dogarian's picture up.
Strange.
That is crazy.
Strange.
But Isaac Dogarian is on the card as well. And if you couldn't tell from my rant, I think he is going to decimate whoever they put in front of him. I don't know who this Brandon Moreau guy is, but I'm going to look in. And those are just some of the fights that I would say sound interesting. I'm not going to go and do the whole putting everything up because these things might change. But up until then, I'm looking forward to this card. Yeah. Feel like it's going to be a short episode this week because, like I said, news, and we have the week off as far as fights go. I wonder if there's anything happening with PFL.
Okay.
Don't care.
Oh yeah. Francis that's coming up, but
that's in October, bro. That's mad far away. They had the press conference the other day, and Francis and Renan were Paul was in the middle, and I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
No, they're going to use him for something.
Like, no, of course, you got to use Jake Paul. You have to. You signed him, you have to use him for something. But that was not the thing to use him for. Because first, neither of these guys are really being aggressive towards each other. Mm-hmm. Like, they're just chatting, and like maybe they're saying some antagonistic. They're doing it respectfully. Like there was nothing crazy.
It was all respect. The reporters trying to get some smoke.
But you got Jake Paul rubbing his arms against these guys' chests. Like if something's happening, I'm like, what's happening? Yeah, it was weird. It was weird to watch. But that's gonna wrap up this episode for this week. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. You can follow me at What Up Vega. You can follow Coach Mike at SF Big Mike. And we appreciate you guys enjoying the show. So make sure you keep doing so. Peace.